Hi guys, weekly outlook with strong crypto markets, with a weaker US dollar and general market motivation fueled by quite a few news events this coming week. We're trading today on Saturday, and crypto markets, well, they are worth a check because they continue moving to higher levels. Let's get started and move straight to the charts and check out what's the latest news in markets. We started with crypto. Bitcoin is about to break the 100,000 US dollar level, and that's kind of something which seems to be a strong likelihood. Why? We are not far off this week. If it's ending like that, potentially offers upside momentum to kind of continue. Why that? Simply this weekly charting pattern, the market falling early in the week, the market ending at the end of the week with positivity here, could unleash further momentum, could unleash further positivity here moving ahead, and the 100,000 psychological round number is just a matter of time, we might say, with a positive impact in other markets as well. Bitcoin to higher levels. Ether, well, this market, and some claim, hey, it's time for a new all-time high in this market as well. And I might say that this is something we could and should focus at. Why that? The falling trend, which I indicated here, triangle formation, whatever, might kind of move the market to the upside or to the downside, but with a likelihood for now that basically Bitcoin is leading the way, also Ether might indeed move to the upside further. Let me kind of remove all those pencils here. Yet some little falling price sentiment, and later or kind of moving on further, move to the upside could be the outcome. So positivity at the moment, at least here for this market, seems to be something which we could focus at. And basically trend line breaks, that's the one here, 3,670, 3,700. That's the next line of resistance. If it's broken, upside might continue. If it's fading, if the market starts to fade, then we might see that this is due to potential impact with the greenback, the US dollar, next week. Starting with the dollar. The dollar's weaker price momentum is currently what seems to be behind the recent market positivity, as this market, the dollar index, is falling off the cliff. The upside here, we initially talked about it like basically 2 weeks back. The upside here seems to be ongoing. However, what we observe as well is that clearly the recent resistance area was broken, but the market, after fading, is now, and that's a question mark, falling further or basically restarting the upside. I might say we have quite a bit of resistance area acting as support, that there could be either way happening basically next week. But that's why we are talking here right now, because we have a ton of news events next week which are obviously worth a check, and those news events is what we examine right now. Starting the week, we have this coming week CPI data from Switzerland. That's maybe not something important, but we'll look at the chart of the Swiss franc in a minute. Yet we are ending the week with unemployment claims from Canada, dollar CAD, worth a check, and we have the non-farm payroll data. That's obviously kind of worth a continuation here. Last month, 12,000 newly created jobs, obviously by weather and natural disasters and such, were very, very bad. That back then didn't harm the dollar, as it was expected that the figures could be quite low. However, now we have the expectation of quite high 200,000 newly created jobs. Looking to the past, this was just one of the higher numbers we've seen in July. But will this strong expectation basically cause the dollar to strengthen, is the key takeaway. So dollar index is the one story we can talk about. We should check out the dollar in the euro dollar currency pair, because this is obviously giving us a reinversed correlation here. The market is currently starting to appreciate further upside momentum. Good for the euro. Strong falling prices here in November after the US election, obviously helping hoping the US dollar might fade. Tariffs from Trump could cause negative impact in this market, right? We have policies which could increase the debt burden. The US dollar might indeed be ripe for resistance and ripe for a retracement, basically upside potential maybe towards the 50 moving average is one thing. However, the strong support area, at least for the first couple of trading days now in December, could offer upside to continue. So if the market weakens, if the euro dollar weakens, we could see that the first days of December, the market is going to strengthen somehow before the market is falling through the bottom here. Basically seeing like some bullish sentiment here, first of all, before maybe the market sentiment continues to the downside. My scribbling in the chart is what you can't see and understand probably. So let's resume this. But any retracement higher, maybe anything like this, at the first days of December is what I might expect before the market is going to fade to the downside. The pound is similarly behaving, pound US dollar moving higher. That looks kind of quite good based on candlestick patterns. Now we have the same story we quite often see and saw in the pound. The technical market support levels have been respected in, say, the euro. Quite often in the pound, these levels were respected, but at first kind of weakened, right? Support here, the market down below this support area might indicate the market is going to strengthen medium term. However, at first the market's momentum, the market's downside momentum kind of looks kind of quite interesting. So I might call this a strong support level, which based on monthly charts might also tell us that the upside might be seen in the pound. The Australian dollar is somewhat similar. However, the Aussie is not really doing anything much because the Aussie has been in a sideways pattern and is rather looking to weaken potentially. Does this mean that we will see equities going to fade further? I might say yes at some point. I would not believe that the Aussie is going to strengthen much. However, looking at the weekly charting pattern, we could also argue that the support zone, which is clearly, and compare this with the pound here, which is clearly holding in play. So upside potential in the Australian dollar could be something we face here in the near future. So the Aussie might actually also start to appreciate further with potential market motivation to the upside. Again, it really depends on the cabinet, on Trump's decisions, on what is going on in the near future. However, the US dollar could be in for a bit of a breather. Weaker US dollar could be what we might see in the near future and what could basically start to cause the market momentum to be different. Now, precious metals, they're obviously impacted. Crypto markets, we started to examine already. Silver is moving towards higher levels, somewhat at least, but that's on longer term daily, weekly charts. Short term, we might still see that these markets might weaken. And again, it's silver and it's the gold price as well. Why? Simply geopolitical tensions in gold cause the gold markets to weaken. The demand in silver had been slightly weaker. Again, that's mostly paper silver. If we're looking at the physical real demand in markets, there's a bit of a different story to be expected. And I'll show you what comes here in the near future. Silver, daily charts weakening. On the basic long-term charting pattern on the weekly, the market has been holding steady, but it needs another push to the upside before basically we could arguably say the market is going to basically strengthen. However, you see the red colored trend line, the market was fading and climbing off those zones once, twice, three, four times already, with the upside potentially being in play. And when looking at the monthly chart, we can also forget about everything I said just now, because that could indicate still another falling price momentum might be key. So it's a matter of time horizon, right? So long-term charts, some rising momentum. Weekly chart positive, daily chart was positive until Friday's market sentiment turned sour, and that's exactly how I would trade this market at the moment. At the 4-hour charts, I would opt for a downside pressure, and I would use this to enter into longer term upside potential, longer term upside motivation based on long term charting patterns. So short term, a basic selling price opportunity might be seen, and that's exactly, I'm in a little short position here. Target is going to be exactly this level, the renewed support level we have seen in the past as this level. Now it doesn't make sense anymore, but you can see what I mean here. The support level here, if it's falling, magic now, if it's falling and the market kind of fades through the bottom, we might see the market acting towards the next support area. However, short term, and we shall see, that's basically what we can observe in the market here for now. Trend slightly fading off these levels, basically on and based on charting patterns. Whatever is going to happen depends as well on the greenback, because if the dollar remains weak, this should naturally be positive for the precious metals market. And now we are moving towards gold. Gold has been shaky in the recent near term, and I would say let's just wait for the markets to break to the upside. Let's just wait for an upside breakout 2750, 2720, based on weekly charts as well as monthly charts already show upside momentum. However, the gold price might be positively impacted by weapons kind of put aside in Lebanon and with the Israelis seemingly, and this might kind of indicate that the region might feel some sort of a sliding peace opportunities here. So it depends a bit on how the market goes in this vicinity. Let's move on further, and we forgot something in the crypto world, in the crypto space. Bitcoin, we talked about XRP. It's just not stopping. Based on those charts here, I'm just getting blind, right? So how much is the market going to move to the upside even further? Maybe a potentially fair bit, because XRP has not stopped at this 115, 120 area. It had not stopped at this 160 area. So is it going to stop at the 200 psychological resistance technical pattern? I might say potentially not, right? Because we could see the market end of December moving higher to then fade further at the last couple of days, maybe before Christmas, if that's going to be the case, to end at this area. Say if we were to move higher at the next couple of trading days, maybe we see that this is also going to give us a bit of a wick here, say towards the 250 region, something we've seen in the past before the market is going to fade at the end of this month. And then we see in January maybe the same story. Trump is going to be elected, saying, hey, crypto space, the market is going to rock, before ending again at lower levels, to see then that we see just some bearish price action. I'm trying to push a candlestick here, which should have some color, something similar to what we've seen here or here, as the market is going to fade. Because what it is currently is that psychological and basically the exchange here, the XRP market moving so much to the upside, as simply this political market momentum just indicated, that's my opinion, just indicated because of the strength of the political redirection in Trump is potentially fading, as those markets which follow politics seem to have a kind of shorter legs than other markets, as we would say. So the downside momentum might actually be rather the outcome. Medium term, I would say that this market is just way overbought and could potentially weaken further. Looking at Solana, we don't see much here in this chart. It's a bit limited, but the charting pattern, and we should open this chart as basically here on the trading view platform, because the upside potential is going to seemingly just help the motivation here in this market. Right, we have seen this market breaking the 220, 210 area. The next psychological resistance area is going to be the 270, 280 area in Solana. This low level, if broken, could indicate the upside might be key. And what we see now, and that's the zone I just mentioned here beforehand, the 260 psychological round number, if it's broken, the upside could basically continue, causing market momentum to be extremely positive. So I would opt on the weekly charting pattern for another nice breakout in Solana. We already saw basically a doubling in market momentum since just only September. But given the recent crypto mania, why not seeing the same as well? Why not will we see the same in basically Solana's chart moving on further? Guys, here we go. That's the majority of important market moves. I forgot two things. First of all, the Swissy, the Swiss franc, and I talked about it. We have news here, and these new CPI data might not be super important, but it could be enough to move the market to the downside. Why am I tilted to the downside? First of all, weakness in the greenback might help the Swissy. Maybe some stronger data could also help the Swissy, and psychological plus long-term historical data usually pointed in more than 70% of cases that the last 2 months of the year, maybe wrong this year, maybe totally wrong, the last 2 months of the year basically usually cause the Swiss franc to strengthen, and we are at those levels currently where the market, if fading below, and we had this level in before, fading below the 50 moving average could indicate falling prices. The market might be right. We are not quite overbought on the weekly, but we are in quite higher levels, and charting patterns here, if they make sense, would now need the market price to weaken further, which could be one reason for the Swiss franc to appreciate against the US dollar. Last but not least, the dollar against the Canadian dollar. That's the interesting currency pair here, fading off the resistance area. We didn't time our entry right. We did, but we got stopped out, and now the market took off without us because we had a long position at the retracement here on the daily chart. At the retracement, we got stopped out, and then we saw the market taking off without us. Stop loss slightly further away, boom, we would have hit target. Nevertheless, that's trading. However, on the weekly chart, this now indicates us that the dollar CAD might just be weakening here. We have all these resistance areas, and the market could basically weaken. Next support here, somehow in this area, 138.50. Then next support area, previous resistance, could be this zone, and the next area could be the rising trend line. You'll see that when I'm zooming out of this chart in a minute, because downside momentum might be the key takeaway. Canadian dollar impacted by weakening oil markets, not quite. Oil, by the way, also looks to weaken here, but the Canadian dollar had done already a fair bit to the upside. It seems that the market is not, or it seems that the market is ready to fade off and at this resistance area, and then basically start or resume, see that trend, right? Resume potential up or downside based on this zone. So that's the clear takeaway here in the Canadian dollar. Guys, happy trading for this upcoming week. We got the Canadian dollars information. We got ADP employment change. We got data from Switzerland. Plus we got non-farm payroll on Friday. So stay tuned, stay focused, and obviously we are happy to see you on our website as well. Please tune in as well. We got some nice discount. Just use the token YouTube and you'll get a nice appreciation for us. See you next week. Take care, and don't forget to focus on our short videos throughout the week as well. Take care, have a good one. See you then. Bye.